second Global Impact Day hosted by ISTE and ASCD community leaders. I'm Alan Shagney, one of ISTE and ASCD's community leaders, and I'm a member of the global team. We have an incredible lineup of speakers today, and this session's presenter is one of them. This session is in English. If you need to turn on the captions, please do so by following the directions using the link in the chat. It's my pleasure to introduce Simar Mohanty. Simar Mohanty is our first student presenter of the day and is the team lead and student coordinator of the All-Girls Student Club, SDG Warriors. This is a team of passionate student changemakers and STEMists dedicated to achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Simar hosts a student-led podcast titled SDG Warriors Podcast, featuring inspiring stories from edu-heroes and STEM experts from around the world. Simar, take it away.
Well, thank you so very much for that supermom introduction, Mr. Allen. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody tuning in. Like Mr. Allen mentioned, I'm Simar, and I'm thrilled to be here today to be representing the SDG Warriors on our current passion project, how student-led podcast is all about storytelling, change-making, and developing crucial real-world project management skills. So let's get started. But before we do that, we have a tradition back here at the SDG Warriors podcast, which might seem a little unconventional for an academic conference, but it's a glimpse into our reality. So to help our listeners audibly visualize the entire experience, we always ask our guests these three questions. Where are you in the world? What is the weather like outside? And what can you see from your window right now? To help you get started, back here in Bangalore, it's 5:30 p.m., 5:32 p.m. actually, and it's a beautiful Saturday. The evening sun is setting, and the cherry blossom tree outside my window, it is pressed against the beautiful gradient, the orange reddish gradient, and it's a classic Bangalore evening, the scene representing the summers of Bangalore. So now I pass the mic to all of you joining us. Go ahead and tell us in the chat, where are you right now in the world? What is the weather like? And what can you see from your window? Let's see how many countries we can reach in this session. Meanwhile, let's begin with the session. So first up, managing a geographically separated team of students, each with their own schedules and commitments, it has its own hurdles, from communication gaps due to different time zones to ensuring everyone feels accountable. We've encountered a range of challenges. But through these challenges, we've actively sought and implemented solutions, which forms the core of our experience. Our journey has involved actively identifying, applying, mapping, and designing strategies specifically aimed at enhancing communication, leadership, and accountability within our virtual team. And this wasn't just theoretical, it was hands on, trial and error. We all learn the best from experiences and mistakes. So, learning in a dynamic environment. And the best part is, as we stepped into our professional courses or colleges, we quickly realized that these skills, the skills which are required to successfully run a student-led podcast, it mirrored many of the essential 21st century workplace skills needed for the real-world readiness. And now when we look at our passion project, our baby, the SDG Warriors podcast, we look at it more than from just the lens of podcasting. As students, we found this to be a practical, safe place for learning. And when we are talking about action, I hope that today with the SDG Warriors case study, you're able to build a proactive plan to implement your own podcast initiative, anticipating potential hiccups and strategically fostering engagement amongst virtual teams. Stay tuned till the end of the session for a gift that will help you to do just that. So let's dive right in. First of all, we are going to have a more detailed look into the exact skills that podcasting has equipped us with and why it's important today. So one of the first and the most fundamental skills we developed is communication. In virtual setting, clear ideas, active listening, and constructive feedback, that is everything. And this skill is crucial because it builds teamwork and avoids conflicts, because it helps you to best speak your mind to the other person so that they're able to understand how you look at things from your lens, from your perspectives. And we nurtured this through our regular student life, group projects, presentations, and active participation in workshops. Next up, we have collaboration. It's another key learning outcome. With shared responsibilities and a constant need for team goal alignment, we learn firsthand how collaboration enhances productivity and fosters a positive team environment. The team assignments and group projects, they were integral to developing this particular skill, because we learned to better understand each other's perspectives and see the world through different lenses. Next, we have adaptability. Just like in the world of technology, AI demands engineers to be adaptable. The dynamic nature of podcast production, especially with a remote team, it demanded quick learning and an openness to change. And we nurtured this through simulations of unexpected issues by assigning flexible tasks that require team members to adjust to changing circumstances. And during this time, many of us had the opportunity to take on leadership roles, guiding teams, setting goals, and motivating one another. We discovered how crucial leadership is in driving performance and an overall success of the entire project. And these opportunities arose naturally within the podcast production process. When we talk about leadership, like whenever we are talking about that, it's a universal code. Uncle Ben says to all superheroes, just like Peter Parker, that with great power comes great responsibility. And that's what accountability is all about, taking responsibility and being reliable. Became a cornerstone of our success. And we learned that accountability builds trust and ensures dependability within a team. And it's all about creating such an environment that within our team, that even if one person, if she's unable to proceed with something or needs to drop the task, she's assured that the next STG warrior has her back. Real world tasks with deadlines and even role playing scenarios helped us to nurture this crucial skill. And when I talk about role playing, the roles, they represent the hats that we wear, and I'll be discussing more about that shortly. Then, maintaining a positive attitude, enthusiasm, and a drive within a volunteer student team, that requires constant attention to motivation. We found that apart from goal setting sessions, recognizing contributions and sharing progress openly, and even celebrating the tiniest of wins within the team, those are vital in boosting productivity and the team morale. Now let's look at more skills. We know inevitably that in a close knit team, disputes often arise. And for us, especially, like when we are shortlisting the best questions to ask our guests, learning to address these conflicts constructively, that became an important skill. Effective conflict resolution improved our team dynamics as well as creativity, the art of framing questions, because it's not always about negotiating why a question can't be asked since the other is better. It's also about creatively crafting and clubbing multiple questions into one, ensuring that the guest answers that yields the same meaningful takeaway for our young listeners. So, role playing different conflict scenarios and learning basic mediation exercises, that also proved to be incredibly useful. Next up, we have critical thinking. Producing a podcast that tackles important global issues like the SDGs, that demanded critical thinking, analyzing information, problem solving technical issues, and making editorial decisions. All of these things, it contributed to developing the skill. And engaging in debates about content and undertaking research projects, that helped us to hone our analytical abilities. Now, balancing podcast responsibilities with academic workloads, that required to properly manage your time. Prioritizing your tasks and meeting deadlines became super important in boosting efficiency and reducing delays. And setting deadlines and engaging in time management exercises, taking accountability from one another. That has helped us to develop this crucial skill. And to keep everything going, managing a geographically separated team, it is impossible without organization. And the key lies in simplicity. Keeping our tasks and resources structured was super important for ensuring that our workflow is smooth. And project planning, utilizing organizational tools, they don't need to be like those super fancy tools where each and every person is being assigned a task. Like it can be as simple as Google Workspace, and where you add the other person in Google Sheets, and maintaining a clear documentation. All these things combined together, it became integral to our process. And like I mentioned, Google Workspace was our hero in this. Next up, we have information literacy. Creating a well researched podcast content that required strong information literacy. And we had to learn how to research effectively, evaluate the credibility of sources, and apply data accurately to our episodes. Specific research tasks and source evaluation exercises, when we implemented that helped us to build the skill. And you can also witness the skill as the episodes progress throughout our podcast. Next up is social skills, building positive relationships and understanding non-verbal cues, even in a virtual environment. That has enhanced our communication and teamwork. So, what has helped us to nurture it? Informal interactions, as well as uh, group activities, participation in them. All of these things helped us to develop our crucial social skills. And the ongoing nature of the podcast, it requires commitment, reliability, and dedication to our goals. And I'd like to focus on a point over here, that it's important to understand what commitment exactly looks like. Is it a task that you need to strike off a checklist with a sigh of relief that, oh, this is finally done? Or is it a craft that you get to return to your project, your passion project, with more curiosity and care, a better version each time? It's important to not become. 1 second. There was a virus detected. Okay, so it's important to not become too goal oriented, where you start burning out in your pursuit of excellence as well. So it's important to keep these things in mind, and engaging in long term projects, being accountable to each other, communicating what each member hopes to see as an outcome, and focusing on our shared goals. All of these things nurtures this sense of commitment. Now, what we explored right now, these were the skills that we learned, but it did not come without its own challenges. So, one of our initial challenges was communication gaps or miscommunication within our remote team. Our solution for that was to implement regular check ins and video calls and utilize simple chatting applications more effectively. And as the team lead, I ensured to set clear agendas and participation from everyone, ensuring that every voice is heard and that everyone's time is also respected. Like this often happens in a lot of team meetings, that sometimes one member will be there and she won't be speaking, and others all will be involved in the flow of the conversation, and she will not get a chance to speak. Sometimes I'm that member, sometimes it's another STG warrior, sometimes it's the third STG warrior. So it's important to keep on recognizing their presence and also involving them in the conversations, because it's these small things which eventually play a big role in how people think about each other's perspectives. So now we come on to the next issue, which is time zone issues. And I cannot stress what a big problem this generally tends to be, especially when we are scheduling our episodes or scheduling meetings. So to address this, we coordinated using shared online calendars and implementing a system to fairly rotate meeting schedules. Google Calendar works wonders in this sense. However, you always need to double check, especially when you're scheduling episodes with guests. You have the daylight savings time as well. So you need to know that whatever the system is saying, is it the reality in where the person is staying. So you need to make sure that, and therein again transparency and communication plays a big role. And when we are resolving these time zone issues, we also nurtured our adaptability and collaboration skills, and ensuring that everyone understood their responsibilities. That was crucial. Like sometimes it happens, especially with me, like you're in a flow of completing your passion project and you overstep boundaries because of excitement. And here I, as a team lead, I take this initiative to align roles and whatever tasks need to be done according to each member's unique superpowers. And this proactive approach, this directly developed leadership and accountability within the team. And a common analogy that I use is the hat analogy, which I mentioned earlier. Something that if you're a regular listener of a podcast, you can also observe in our questions. We ask that what are the top skills that you learn from each and every hat. So the hat analogy goes like this: that there is a rack of hats, and each hat represents a different role. So a person is, whenever a person is assigned a task or volunteers to take up a task, then that person, that member, she picks up a hat, puts it on, completes the task at hand, takes it off, and puts it back at the rack. And at the same time, two people cannot wear the same hat. Of course, if you're thinking creatively, it's a super big hat and 2 to 3 people can wear it, and it can be a funny scene. But no, like, let's just think that these are baseball caps, right? So using this hat analogy, people are able to understand more properly how role clarity works, and that using that, people do not overstep boundaries or do something that they are not supposed to do. Now, next up, we have motivation drops. And especially over time in a volunteer project, which is virtual, this can be challenging, especially like when we have exams, where we have internal assessments, we have assignments, and we have our regular college stuff in our offline life. The best way to tackle motivation drops is to share progress updates transparently and to celebrate every small win that we have as a team, and to also encourage support if a person is facing any difficulty. Uh, Using that, we are able to foster motivation as well as collaboration. And then again, like I mentioned earlier, conflicts inevitably arise when we have a close knit team that's like a family. And as a team lead, I can say that there are two ways that you can handle it. You can either be the person who drags two people away, separating them, saying that the main motive over here is to quieten the noise and to stop the conflict for that particular time. But that does not always solve the entire issue at hand. As a team lead, my superpower is communication. And what I do without overstepping boundaries is to listen and to present a person's perspectives from an unbiased view, from a layman's perspective. And what this helps is in reducing any miscommunication or communication gaps that might have existed. Maybe the other person was not able to present her perspectives in the most effective way possible because of time constraints or whatsoever. So all these things, these play a crucial role in mediating. And if that does not work, we have a clear framework which helps us in collaborative problem solving as well. So certain exercises, activities that we perform, certain rules and regulations that we have, so that we do not cross the limit. And all of these things, they help us in collaborative problem solving. And this direct experience helped us to improve our communication skills. And again, this point is about conflict resolution. Now, the next challenge is content quality. And this is the most important point, I would say, out of all the skills. Quality is at the heart of our podcast. We've always believed in quality over quantity. And to uphold these high standards, we follow a rigorous internal process, review process. My friends generally, they call me and they even joke that I'm a control freak, but that's all right. Every single question, every single graphic, and every single post, it is reviewed multiple times by multiple team members with a different set of eyes before it goes live. Because we do this because we feel a deep responsibility for everything that we communicate, especially like to our audience, because our juniors, they look to us. They look up to us for learning. And that's a huge responsibility on our shoulders, and we should not let them down. And as the host and lead, there's this one guiding principle that I always keep in mind, that the guest, he or she has given us 1 hour of the valuable time. So, how can I best bridge their experience into our episode in such a way that captures the most meaningful insights and delivers real value to our listeners? It's super easy to go unprepared, craft general questions, and casually talk for 30 minutes or so just for the sake of talking or running a podcast. But having those meaningful conversations, meaningful storytelling, which empowers young people to think that when I grow up, I want to be like Dr. Margaret Loman. I want to be the next Rosa Vasquez Espinoza. These are the things. I want to be the next change maker. And that's at the heart of what we do at SDG Warriors. And all of these things, it requires effort, strengthening our critical thinking, as well as collaboration as a team. Next in hand, we have scheduling conflicts, coordinating recording schedules, and meeting deadlines across the busy student lives. It requires lots of careful management because a lot of things are not present in the shared calendars. For example, we want to participate in a competition, an inter-school competition, and it has just now come up, and there's no time to, updated in our official calendar. So regularly checking in with your team members before scheduling any episodes, tracking deadlines, and updating tasks. All of these things help us to nurture time management and organizational skills. And then ensuring that everyone has access to the necessary tools and resources so that we are empowered for productivity. I took the initiative to centralize the tools and resources online and to share updates and tutorials. And when we talk about tutorials, they don't need to be fancy ones. Like I remember this one example in which one of my friends, she wanted to learn how to do this particular task. So she just messaged me that this is a new tool that I'm exploring. So have you like explored this before? And I was like, yes. And she was like, could you help me with this? And then looked up for the most easy to understand tutorial on YouTube. That's the first thing that I do, the shortest one which I'm able to understand, and then she might be able to understand that as well. And if in case there's more things that we need to explore, just hop on a quick meeting. A meeting does not need to be again a fancy one which is scheduled. A simple Google Meet in which you just screen share and show how things get done. These little things, they make a big difference in empowering creativity as well as productivity. And this also improved our information literacy when we are searching about how to use tools in different ways, and our collaboration when we are sharing tutorials and our understanding of these tools with one another. Next up, we have team bonding. Isn't that the core of collaboration? Maintaining a strong sense of team spirit in a remote setting, that requires a conscious effort. It does not come naturally. And student lead, like I organized virtual team building activities and encourage team members to propose and lead fun online sessions. Like we have these listening parties. We love listening to music. So these listening parties in which we share our collaborative playlists with one another. One person might be into Taylor Swift. I'm into Taylor Swift. One person might be into Lana Del Rey. One person might be into K-pop. So we love to bond over these little things. They might not be exactly related to education, but again, these sometimes you need to step out of the educational setting. These things which connects humans together, not only music, it can also be sports. That one thing which connects you and your friends together. And this directly nurtured collaboration and social skills. And talking about social skills, memes also played a really powerful part, because humor, there's nothing better which connects us more than humor. Next is volunteer commitment, setting expectations regarding the time commitments and project participation from the start. That's absolutely necessary. And whenever a new episode is scheduled with the guest, we as soon as that happens, we ensure transparency and we update it in our shared calendars, and we discuss the importance of commitment during our initial meetings, and ensuring that all the volunteers, whatever role, whatever hat that they're deciding to wear, they understand the expected time investment, and they are not being unkind to themselves just because they think that it's their passion project. Okay, fine, we'll manage, we'll do this particular task in 2 hours, but we have an exam coming up. No, our first responsibility as students is to be a good student, is to learn the things that are being taught at our professional courses. That is what is going to empower us to become future leaders, to build the stuff, the hard skills that we require in the workforce. That is where we get it from. So those things are also important to weigh in, and fostering a culture of accountability by ensuring that team members communicate their availability and any potential conflicts early on, and ensuring that a person does not hesitate to do that. Because a lot of times it happens that, for example, I might feel that if I might not be having space on my calendar, but if I drop this particular role, then the other people, they might have to take in a lot on their plates, and I might feel guilty about that. But over here, it's very important to communicate that as well, that okay, fine, you feel guilty, but at least tell us what's going on. So again, transparency, accountability, and commitment. And then we have our evolving toolbox. Imagine a garden. We are the gardeners. Our skills are the flowers where the water nourishing, their growth. It represents a unique superpower of each and every SDG warrior. Just as a gardener experiments with different tools and nutrients to see that which nourishes the plant best, our toolbox is constantly evolving. It's not a fixed set of tools. It's completely based on simplicity and quality. And there are so many tools that we experiment with. However, these are the ones that I've shown on the screen, which remain at the heart of everything right now. But there are more which will be coming up as technology evolves. And we've witnessed the important skills, the challenges while cultivating them, and practical solutions that we have implemented for our podcast. And now you've stayed from the start till the end, and it's time for you to get started on your own podcasting journey. So take out your phones and scan this QR code to get access to our the very same template that our team uses to produce our podcast on Bakelit. So you can scan the QR code over here, and you'll be directed to a Bakelit page which contains different instructions on how you need to get started, what are the different types of content that you can add, how to do that, and more. And don't forget to tag us on our social handles whenever you implement your own podcast. And then that's the end of it. You can tune in to all our episodes by scanning this QR code or this QR code, or heading over to anchor.fm/STG Warriors. A huge shout out to all our edu heroes, our explorers, the conservationists, STEM experts, and real world superheroes who are at the grassroots of change making, for inspiring our young audience with the rich experiences, advice, and gems of knowledge. I'd like to conclude with our mission statement at the SDG Warriors and your call to action: to be the change that you wish to see in the world. Because if we won't, who will? Thank you.
Samar, I thoroughly enjoyed this presentation, podcasting, connecting that, and talking about both the benefits and the opportunities to learn in this space is actually just transformational in and of itself. So I just wanted to just say thank you for that, because I too just am inspired by that and just can't say enough about the great things that you shared with us today. So thank you so much. This year, we wanted to add some practical ways for educators to implement a global impact in their classrooms. We asked people to record quick videos with tips to doing just that. Now let's learn how to get started implementing global impact from Jessica Marsh to learn about QuestPath.
Hello, people. My name is Kayla Holland, and I'm going to play that video again so that you can hear the audio. One moment. All right, folks. So that's unfortunate. I don't think the audio worked that time either. But that I'm just going to tell you about this amazing program because it really is incredible. So this is from Jess and James Marsh, and they've co-founded this Intel EDU, and it's a nonprofit organization in the UK, bridging the gap between traditional schooling and education otherwise. They're currently on a world schooling quest, which is super cool, with their 6-year-old son, and they're designing his schooling using the world as their classroom. So this is a quick video. I'm going to try to drop this link in the chat along with the link to their actual program, but definitely check it out. It's from Jess and James Marsh, and it's called Quest Path. Sorry about the audio. We will figure that out before we do this again in the next live call. But I'm going to bring Alan back up to wrap us up for our first live session of Global Impact Day.
Yes, so I am super excited to check that out and to learn more about the work that you're doing and how maybe potentially I could help in getting started with that in some way, shape, or form. So thanks again for joining this live session as part of the Global Impact Virtual Conference from our whole ISTE and ASCD Community Leader Global team. We are so grateful for your participation today. Please continue participating in the Global Impact Virtual Conference by joining our Educators Lounge or by joining the next live session. You can find the information at our website, which is a bit.ly/2025 Global Impacts, including content from our Global Impact Conference last year. Our next presenter is Namya Joshi and begins at the top of the hour. Thanks again for joining, and we'll see you next time.